South Central. Um, Came down to what used to be the den, but was always really just the basement, which then became my daughter's room, or half my daughter's room, whatever. And didn't get used very long. Then she went to college, and we started using it again. Anyway, it's where the free comics were left, so that the larger screen could be used to watch something while stickering was done. And I did some stickering yesterday and was very loose with the bags and the empty sheets. And then Zeke did some for me today. Oh, thank God. And he was even less careful. I will not, like Zeke, be sitting on the floor while I do this. He's a far, far younger man than I. He can sit on the floor while he stickers comics, which he did. I think he did more in the hour he was down here than I did in the hour I did. I am an old man, it feels like, looking at his stack and be like, wait, he was down here for like an hour. He did that? I did this in like half an hour one day, half an hour another day, and it's a lot less. But, he's just barely a teenager. He's 13. He's got youthful energy. Shouldn't be jealous. Anyway, I got a lot more labels printed today. We're still waiting on about a third of our... Oh, I'm moving on to the couch. We're still waiting on about a third of our Book Day comics coming from the actual creators of the Free Comic Book Day branded ones by our distributor Universal, who is finally the owners of the Free Comic Book Day license, but they fell very behind, and so their Free Comic Book Day stuff just left the warehouse. So I won't be stickering those until Tuesday. But yeah, tonight I'm going to continue stickering. Like I said, Zeke did a little, and he left a pile of He-Man-C, and like this is what I was talking about. Oh man, I am an old man. I'm such an old man. These, if you'll notice, they don't say Free Comic Book Day. They say Comic Giveaway Day. And that's Penguin Random House, who is Dark Horse's people. It's Penguin Random House doing their special own day with its own locator. It's a whole thing. So yeah, there is Free Comic Book Day, but it's not the same everywhere. If, like me, you're a regular Universal user, they're usually the best company when it comes to getting you stuff on time, getting you stuff early. Everything that I've ever dealt with them has been wonderful, but Free Comic Book Day has definitely got them a little overworked. They are running behind. Like I said, the free comic books just left the warehouse, so I'll be getting my DC, Dynamite, Zenoscope, two others, I think. There are two others Free Comic Book Day titles that I'll be getting only on Thursday to sticker because I'm using that company. But I like that company and I trust them, so I'm much less stressed than if it was another company sending them and I didn't believe they were actually going to show up. Someone asked me how many Free Comic Book Day comics we get, and I said, oh, we got a lot less than we usually get. We usually get 5,000. And the guy's like, what? I was like, that was the pre-COVID numbers. Now, we generally get between 2,500 and 3,000, and this year I tried to really keep it to like 2,000. And he's like, because if you go to my store, you go to my store on a busy Sunday, 8 hours, maybe. We're not talking a crazy Sunday, just a busy Sunday, maybe a couple hundred people, maybe 150 people. Not everyone buying, not everyone even interested, but coming along with other people. So that's a busy Sunday. Now again, very few people come the same Sunday. We're talking about a dozen people who Sunday's their weekly day. Most of those other people I don't see more than once every 2 or 3 months. So, sorry, the way I have the camera set up, I can't see any comments. Right. We're going to just keep those comments unseeable. I think makes a lot more sense. Um, and yeah, it's really just that huge a day for us. I was explaining this to a few people today. Free Comic Book Day is this kind of thing where we have people who we only see on Free Comic Book Day. It's the only time they come. They don't come when I have a sale. They don't. They come on Free Comic Book Day. It's a celebration. They very often tell me that Saturday, because we're closed Saturday, we do it Sunday. Saturday they go to five other stores, and today's like their big cap it off. They finish it off with, you know, and it's just a special day for a lot of people. Uh, and you couple that with the fact that I always tell people we love to keep the comics for a few months. You know, I don't officially I say till the end of May, but we usually have at least a shelf. Usually, the beginning of May, the first 2 weeks, it's like two or three shelves. We usually have at least a shelf of free comics, three per person, all of May, because it's exciting. You come to the comic shop, you see everything, and so if I can take these comic books, which I cost me 26 cents or whatever, you know, if I can take them and give them away and there's no crazy collector's market grabbing up. I'll take three of this one because it's the hot thing, which it happens occasionally, but not so much in the last few years. If there's enough people who are going to grab it, they get to try out. Look, this is by our friend Andrew Conkey. Andrew's actually a customer at the store. This is what I'll tell you about anyone who draws comics regularly. They don't even have to draw it monthly, but if they draw comics regularly, they don't have time to read a lot of comic books. Because comics doesn't pay enough. If someone's drawing comic books regularly, it means they have another job, usually drawing and usually intense. And they also get to do a comic every few months, or a teacher or something like that. And so it's exciting that we have a customer who makes a comic, but since he started drawing more regularly, he's bought a lot less comic books. He has a lot less time. So I think that's interesting. Speaking of, Andrew and our other customer, Josh, are both going to be at Fourth World Comics on Saturday. Go see them there. Send them my regards. Get free comics from Fourth World. Then come to us on Sunday. Get our free comics. I have a lot of people who, like I said, we are one of multiple free comic book stores they go to, and I love that. A lot of them are trying to put together a list of every single comic that came out, and I got all of them. Good luck this year. Like I said, it's 3 different days. It's comic giveaway day, free comic book day, and what did Lunar call it? Free comics in May day, something like that. So all 3 of them have their own website and their own thing. Yeah, it's a whole thing. But if you go to a comic shop, there's gonna be lots of cool free comics. And yeah, if you can go to Fourth World on Saturday, Andrew will be there. He and Josh are signing together. I love that. I'm like, oh, my boys. Both Josh and Andrew have been customers of ours for Josh over a decade. And I love it. We're just not the shop to host. We did that for years. We would fly people in, right? That's when we had Ryan North at the store. We had Spike Trotman. We had Donnie Cates right before he started on Venom. We've had some names, and Jamie Gownley, who did the Amalia Rules books, just a slate of fascinating people. That's great. But you know what I need to do? I need to rearrange the shop, and we need to clearance out some items. So the big draw at this one is the sale. That's the big draw. All right, do I dare pick up my phone and go see what random comments that I couldn't read before say? I probably should have. I should probably leave them. I'm sorry. If you're making a genuine and interesting comment, I apologize that I can't read it. But if you scroll up and see other comments, it wasn't worth picking up my phone for. The sale's going to be, I've arranged about half the sale, and it's great. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I would not survive this sale. Me, the customer, I would not survive this sale. There is stuff in the 90% off that I sell. I want you to understand. There's stuff in the 90% off that I sell. I've never read. I've wanted to. I've thought about it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, 90% off, huh? I want to read that. So take it off the shelf. Well, I'm going to lose out on the $4 I make it? I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I got time to read more things. You know how far behind I am in my reading? Absolutely not. Winter was rough. Winter was rough. I spent it rereading a lot of Ursula K. Le Guin, a little Philip Jose Farmer. I tried to read a Philip K. Dick, but you know something? The cynicism in Philip K. Dick was too much. I'm reading it and I'm like, oh, I wish we had it this bad, Kindred. I wish it was just the 1950s, but we had flying cars. You know what I mean? Oh, I wish. Anyway, Free Comic Book Day, huge sale, 90% off. Kids section is going to have a 90% off section and a 50% off section. Single issues are going to have, I think, 10 or 11 boxes, at least 10 boxes of half off comics. Or 3 priced boxes, you know, $3, $5, $10. All those boxes are going to be half off. Our recent back issues, our number ones, all just half price. And that sale is just all week. I like, please, if you can't make it on Free Comic Book Day, if you have a day off and you love grabbing stuff in a comic sale, seriously, this is the week. May 3rd through May 8th. It's gonna be insane. I don't think I will need to, but I'd be thrilled if I needed to replenish the 90% off. And what happens when I have to do that is the 75% off all becomes 90% off. The 50% all becomes 75% off, and then I refill this 50% off. I'd love to do that. I've done it once or twice on big clearance sales that we did 2 years ago to get to Escape Pod 2.0, where I had like half the shop, much more display, and we're moving to 3.0. 3.0 is the whole shop is much more display. You know, if it's not selling, it's good that we have a copy. We can put it face out, and I'll have it to sell to someone, but nothing is essential except for whatever is constantly moving, like Absolutes. Friday has sold for us numerous times. Something's Killing the Children's first volume. I put it in the sale, I think, at 25% off, but that generally moves for us. A bunch of certain manga series, and that's what we're going to keep restocking those and keep getting new and interesting books and championing books that we think are great. We got large order of the sequel to New Girl coming in, First Crush, Cassandra Kalin, amazing stuff. We've got a nice size order of the new Tilly Walden coming in because we'd be fools not to. We got a restock still coming from a few places. So we got a lot happening, but the clearance sale will give us the space to really let that happen. So please, if you can make it in 3rd through the 8th, I would offer to do the sale online, but frankly, I just don't know what's going to happen. Free Comic Book Day, I said on a very busy day at the beginning of this live stream, which I'm going to end soon and throw on something to watch while I do more stickering. If I said on a busy Sunday we might have 200 people, we have had Free Comic Book Days where I had a counter one time where we had 780 people. And that was years ago. And I feel like most of our Free Comic Book Days since 2023 have been higher than that, bigger than that, more people. Less signings, more people. Because I believe Free Comic Book Day has just become a thing that people in Huntington know about, even if they don't know comics. And if you know comics, you know about it. That's what I've discovered. Anyway, stickering. I can't just sit here and talk while I sticker. I'm stickering too slowly. And I feel really rude that I'm not reading the comments. But I don't have a good place to set up the phone, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to head out. Tomorrow, a bunch of, speaking of restocks and new books, a bunch of books that have been delayed, e.g., we owed some money to the distributor, have arrived. So we have a Tuesday with like 20-something new books. We've got a bunch of manga, a bunch of great graphic novels. Fantagraphics has new stuff out. Abrams has some new stuff out. Abrams has some stuff that came out in the beginning of April that we finally got. All sorts of amazing stuff we're going to look at here on the live stream. So get yourself set up to be notified for that. We'll look at, like I said, almost 24 new books. And then Wednesday we'll look at all the new single issues, and hopefully I will say I've got so much stickering done. Until then, remember, you know what, before I go, let's look at what the comments have been. I don't think anyone's left who even made these comments, but here we go. fascinating. All right, you listen to metal, free. What comic book got me into comic books? Wow. Amazing Gamer, are you still here? Well, I'll answer this for those of you who are here or maybe watching this later. What comic book got you into comic books? I've talked about this numerous times, and if Joe were here, all right, you're still here. Okay, if Joe were here, he would probably have the answer. Um, my older brother read comic books. I read a bunch of them. I read whatever he was reading basically. Plus, I started getting my own. But the first comic that I didn't beg my mom to buy me, that I bought myself, I believe I was 8 years old, and it was Tales of the TMNT. Again, I always forget the number. I think it's 14, um, but it's a Stephen Murphy uh, comic in black and white that takes place between this and that. Now, I knew the Ninja Turtles from the cartoon, right? I knew the cartoon it was 1990. Okay, I knew the cartoon very well. I had a lot of the toys, and this was a Ninja Turtles comic that I saw. So I picked it up, and it was black and white. It was black and white, which the Ninja Turtles weren't. How was I supposed to tell the turtles apart if I couldn't tell which? They weren't even wearing their bandanas. This takes place after the Escape from New York storyline. I had no idea what that was. And they're on a river with April O'Neil, and she does not look like April O'Neil. Like, she doesn't have her jumpsuit. Um, her hair is different. She's acting really like thoughtful and very un-April O'Neil. And it's like her journal. Um, and it's just this great comic where they fight these creature from the Black Lagoon style dudes who come up out of the river and realize that they were trying to save this member of their tribe, this woman of their tribe. And now the mermen are alone, and maybe they're the last of their species. And April's watching them walking away, and then it like transposes the boys over them, and it's like, yeah, they're the last of their species. They're like, and I was like, I'm 8. I'm like, what? What? And I was like, this is amazing. Clearly, this is not the Ninja Turtles of the cartoon, but holy moly, this is great. And now it would be if I was someone who made comics, I probably would go to. And then I got into making comics, and I read the original black and white Ninja Turtles. Blah blah. No, that's not what happened. I bought a lot of Spider-Man after that. I then went out to buy a lot of Spider-Man. But I was very lucky. I got Spider-Man on Eric Larson, which made me really fall in love. David Michelin writing, Eric Larson on the art made me really fall. I fell in love with Eric Larson's Spider-Man so much that when McFarlane's Spider-Man came out, which only happened because McFarlane left Amazing to make that book, I was like, ugh, that's not Spider-Man. Eric Larson draws Spider-Man for reals. But then Mark Bagley came along, threw that out of the water. Mostly I don't think it's any one comic that makes someone a comic fan. I think it's getting into the esoteric of it, and I don't mean monthly news or who the creators' names are. When a kid reads Dogman and they go back and read all the Dogman books and they read all the Cactus books, even though they don't want to make comics, just because it's part of the Dogman universe. And then they go and get Super Diaper Baby and Captain Underpants books, and they watch all the shows and the movies. Like, they become fans of it obsessively. But at the core, they keep going back to those original comics, because that's the thing with me. I would read comics, but I would reread comics. I had my stack of books divided by Superman Triangle series or Spider-Man when it was monthly, interconnecting, divided by miniseries and crossovers, otherwise chronological, and I would reread them and reread them. But I would also always seek new kinds of comics thanks to that Ninja Turtles. And so I always kept reading so many wide varieties of comics that I always was kind of weirded out. I should be stickering while I babble, right? But good excuse not to sticker for a minute. I was always obsessed with, why do so few people know like comic books? Like, they don't, like, people who are talking, they're talking Chris Ware, blah 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 blah, and you're talking to me, yeah, Ivan Bernetti, blah blah, and they go, who? You're like, Ivan Bernetti? And people who, well, when Stanley made Captain America, and you're like, well, Joe Simon and Jack Kirby made Captain America when Stan Lee was like 14. So you mean like when he wrote him? And they're like, what? No. And you're like, oh, okay. I'm done with this. It's not a gatekeeping thing, but it's it's like a prerequisite to care about comics. Anything you really care about, anything you love, you go deeper into and you become more obsessed over. And with comics, because they've existed so long in the American culture without really being defined and discussed and dissected until the 80s or 90s, they're everywhere. Like, you don't think about how the comic book language is in so many things. Every manual you use, 2/3 of the icons on your computer use iconography that was honed in the comic book. It's just like it's everywhere, and people still think it means guys in tights, homoerotically beating up on each other, or heteroerotically beating up on each other. I don't know. And I don't know. That's what led me here, being a massive, massive snob about the medium of comic books. Speaking of, I got a lot. This is like, okay, there's that stack, and then I don't want to show you my absolutely horrifying basement, but there's stacks and boxes all over. So I'm gonna get to some stamping. I think this was a really interesting live stream, and I thank you for the question. Amazing Gamer 814 and Doc, thanks for listening. Doc, if you come to the shop, anyone comes to the shop, that Ninja Turtles, not the original one, the original one's in some box in my garage, but was traded in recently, and I have it in a YC Neo frame right behind my counter. I'll try to remember to show it tomorrow. It's right there in one of Alan's wonderful UV proof frames. My favorite first comic book. All right, till tomorrow when we look at that. When we look at that book, remember, damn it, babies, you got to be kind.